Hello, this is John DeRoyan. This is vlog discussion 9 in a series of vlogs for the purposes of media and culture. For this one, I will be covering Rhetorical Act Chapter 7, The Resources of Language, and Reading Pop Culture Chapter 6, the paired readings Sager, Creating the Myth, and Gates, The Asian Renovation of the Biracial Buddy Action. So, let us begin with the rhetorical act, chapter 7. So, when one of the biggest things that I want to kind of get across straight off the bat is language. Um, and it really depends on the sort of goals that you're going for. Because words that have similar meanings can have completely different connotations. There's help and there's assist. There's kill and there's neutralize. There's definitely a very important thing to be said about the kind of language you use in your speech and the kind of message you want to get across. Um, Furthermore, there's another dimension of language known as abstracting. Abstracting involves sort of, not just like going straight for concrete details, but really kind of taking things away from that and sort of diving into vaguer, broader concepts, which might not necessarily be that bad. If you have to cover a broad topic, you might need to abstract things a little. But abstraction also runs the risk of being too unspecific and making your speech seem a lot less credible. Um, there's also the matter of style. Now, one big aspect that this chapter really seems to want to hammer home is that style is not really like, not all speeches with regards to rhetoric have to be completely formal. Informality is sometimes a necessary part of delivering a speech. It's all about the kind of audience that you're communicating to. If you use, say, like very heady, political, cold language when communicating to, say, a group of teenagers, you probably won't get very far in terms of getting your rhetoric across. You need to understand your audience and adjust your language accordingly. So, in these respects, style is important, and understanding language is very important. So, for the readings, we will identify language strategies used by Sager and Gates. So, Sager is covering sort of the monomyth, the hero's journey, so to speak, and she talks about how its many variations and how these things are kind of formed from our own experiences, but like follow this kind of formula. And she is most definitely someone who is in the analogous camp of rhetoric. She likes to use analogy and she likes to use kind of step by step, let's break it down like this, to properly convey her arguments. And she definitely sorts each part of her rhetoric into different categories to ensure that it is more properly delivered. Now, as for Philippa Gates, she is very much an examples type person when it comes to delivering rhetoric. Um, a lot of her statements on culture and this archetype of buddy cops, they really depend on her citing very clear examples of this. Um, and she has to kind of establish the context in order to talk about ways in which this paradigm is, has arisen, and ways in which this paradigm of the buddy cop is beginning to shift towards, well, an Asian demographic. And one big thing that I appreciate is that she cites her sources, which, as this class has often taught me, is a very vital and important aspect of delivering your rhetoric. But yes, overall, there is definitely two distinct strategies at play here, but there are similarities in that both kind of like to categorize their information to more make it more digestible to its respective audiences. But yes.